Ever since Boruto was introduced in chapter 1 of the manga, we've always known that he would eventually get his scar. And back then it made perfect sense. If a character got slashed, especially in that area, it would leave a scar. Now that logic somewhat changed when Boruto got the karma seal of Momoshilki, which in turn provided him with significant healing abilities. That then brought into question Boruto having this scar later on in the timeline. Why exactly didn't he heal properly? You see, abilities in Naruto tend to be inconsistent, because if they were consistent, the plot wouldn't be able to progress in the way that it was intended. Take Naruto's healing abilities for example, which was first discovered by Kakashi in part 1 after Naruto stabbed himself using a kunai. Kakashi pointed out that it was likely due to the power of the Ninetails, which turned out to be correct. We later saw this power in action multiple times, even to the point where Naruto could regenerate bones, skin tissue, and even a portion of his lung after Sasuke rammed the Chidori through his chest. At that point, the ability seemed a tad bit overpowered, yet still inconsistent, since Naruto's body was still badly damaged after fighting Sasuke, to the point where his entire body needed to be in bandages for a few days. So that in and of itself brings the passivity of the ability into question. Does he naturally heal due to having Kurama's chakra, or does the Ninetails decide when he heals and to what extent? An extreme case of this inconsistency was shown in the battle versus Orochimaru, where he delved further into the Ninetails transformation, achieving the four-tailed state. Now this wasn't his first rodeo with this form as shown in the flashback with Jiraiya, but it was our first time seeing it as the audience. This was also the first time we truly understood the dangers of this power, not only in strength but also in regards to the damage done to Naruto's body. You see, the red chakra itself is very hot, which means it continuously eats away at Naruto's skin, thus causing severe burns. However, he should be able to heal from this given the extent of his healing factor shown in part 1, but for some reason he didn't. Sakura had to heal him using normal medical ninjutsu. This once again points to the ability not being passive, but more so something the Ninetails himself can control, which means he decided not to heal Naruto. However, this logic was somewhat contradicted in the battle versus Pain, when Naruto turned into the four tails once again and even upped it to the six-tail state. In fact, he even reached the nine-tail state just a few moments later. Yet, for some reason, his body or skin was perfectly fine just a second after he reverted back to his base form without needing to be healed by anyone. Mind you, the Ninetails has no reason to heal Naruto in this instance since he had just messed up his entire goal of being free. So this now implies that the ability is passive and extremely overpowered even without the Ninetails intervention. We even see this again when Naruto decided to tame the Ninetails power by extracting his chakra. Half his body was in the version 1 cloak while the other half was in the version 2 state, which is known as the four-tailed state. Yet after Naruto overcame the hatred of the Ninetails, the red cloak just vanished and his body was unscathed. This directly contradicts what had happened before. It implies that his body wasn't even damaged in the first place, which also implies that his body wasn't damaged during the battle versus Pain either, which is why he emerged from the Ninetail state with no injuries. This could mean that his body is just now strong enough to not get damaged by the Ninetail's chakra, or there's some kinda inconsistency. The reason why I bring this up is because people tend to compare what Boruto is able to accomplish to that of Naruto's when it's a bit more intricate than it appears to be on the surface. You see, Boruto does possess a healing factor due to Momoshilki's karma seal. This was shown back in chapter 30 when Boruto's scarred hand was gradually healed by Momoshilki, which was deliberately pointed out by the writer using Kashin Koji. What's interesting here is that while Boruto's hand was damaged a few moments earlier by Kawaki's attack, his healing factor didn't trigger until he did the unison sign, which then triggered Momoshilki's presence. This implies that Momoshilki activated the healing factor to heal Boruto's hand. The question is why? Why would Momoshilki heal Boruto's hand but not his face and eye? Well, it could be the fact that his healing factor is in fact passive, which would be in line with Kashin Koji speculating that it was involuntary, it wasn't deliberate. Of course, this is speculation, especially since he doesn't know what we know, which is that Momoshilki's presence emerged at that time. The truth is that Kashin Koji doesn't even know if it's an ability of karma or some ability Boruto himself possessed. So suffice to say that nothing is confirmed at this point in time. Even so, it could have been accidental or involuntary on Momoshilki's part, triggered by the karmas resonating, but that doesn't mean that the ability itself is indeed passive. What we do know is that later on in chapter 42, Kawaki also displayed similar levels of healing after he tanked Boru's attack. Kawaki himself states that he will heal in no time, which implies that this is a passive ability he does possess. The issue with using this feat is that Kawaki isn't a normal human. In fact, his entire body is basically a scientific ninja tool, which means that his healing ability might not be something provided by the Karma Seal. However, what's more concrete is Boruto suffering heavy damage throughout the entire fight with Boru, but never showing any signs of healing or recovery of fatigue, which implies that Boruto's healing ability isn't in fact passive or something he can trigger. This is then backed up by the fact that Boruto got repeatedly pummeled by enraged Boru, thus undoubtedly breaking multiple bones in his body, yet Momoshiki immediately healed those injuries upon taking over the vessel. In fact, Boruto's body was completely healed post Momoshiki's possession. This once again indicates that the healing factor is something only Momoshiki can trigger. Now there is another case of this happening, which would be the fight versus Ishiki. We see that Boruto's left arm and spine was completely shattered by Ishiki himself. He couldn't walk, he couldn't move, and he couldn't stand. Yet his rapid healing factor never chipped in even for a second. It only did once Momoshiki took control of Boruto's body, which was pointed out by Sasuke himself. And by the way, we know for a fact that Momoshiki possessed Boruto's body a while before he actually attacked Sasuke, since he himself stated that he purposefully stayed hidden. So that would have given him ample time to heal Boruto's body completely, which isn't really needed since his healing factor is already insanely fast, as seen in the battle versus Boru. Now there is the case of Momoshiki not being able to heal Boruto after he got ran through by Kawaki, which resulted in him using the data from the Karma Seal itself to do it. This implies that while Momoshiki's healing factor is very fast, it isn't as good as Kurama's, in the sense that he wasn't able to heal Boruto because parts of his lungs were destroyed and he had lost a lot of blood. This is stated by Momoshiki himself. This simply means that while Momoshiki can repair existing data, which means he can put things back together, he can't multiply existing cells to create new data if the data is no longer within the vessel, which Kurama is able to accomplish, thus being able to quickly heal massive holes in Naruto's chest. Blood or tissue loss isn't an issue for Kurama, while it clearly is for Momoshiki. A good comparison would be Boru. He's able to heal any damage done to his body because he has high level regeneration, even higher than Naruto's. Since even though Kurama could regenerate Naruto's damaged lung, shoulder bones, and even recover lost blood, he couldn't regrow Naruto's lost hand. It's an arbitrary limitation given the feats before, but it's a limitation nonetheless. This just means that Momoshiki's healing factor, or the healing factor of the Karma Seal, is very fast but isn't as effective. This brings me to the scar Boruto received from Kawaki, since I've seen some people compare Boruto not healing from this scar to Naruto healing from Sasuke slicing his face during the 5 Kage summit. The issue with this comparison is that it isn't really indicative of the healing factor provided by either of the two entities. Some cuts are just shallow cuts that only affect the top layer of the skin, which usually doesn't cause scarring. We even see that for Boruto back in the Inner Mist arc, which was before he even received the Karma Seal. He wasn't permanently scarred by the slash he received on his face, it just healed over time. That's what happens when it's a shallow cut. Now Naruto would definitely heal from a more deeper cut as well, but I'm just pointing out the difference between the two cuts. Now you could argue that Momoshiki's healing factor should be capable of healing even a deeper cut by speeding up Boruto's natural healing capabilities, similar to what he did with the burn mark on his hand. The only issue is that Momoshiki has no reason to do so. We've already confirmed that his healing factor only works when Momoshiki wants it to, which he clearly wouldn't in this case since he was happy to see Boruto lose his eye. He even gloated at the fact that there's only one more to go. So to then turn around and heal any aspect of Boruto's body when you're trying to make him despair at the thought of losing everything wouldn't make sense. This further proves that Boruto himself can't trigger the ability, nor is it passive. Even though Boruto at this point in the story is 100% pure Tsuki and claim to have more control over Momoshiki's power. So the conclusion is that Boruto has this scar because Momoshiki just didn't want to heal him. Now there is a way for Boruto to heal the scar, or at least to reduce it significantly. In truth, it looks the way it does because he likely didn't get the best treatment given his situation. However, let's say Boruto now has control over Momoshiki's healing factor after years of becoming one. He can't now just heal the wound because the wound itself has already healed. He has the scar because of that healing process. What he could do is cut himself again in the same exact area, thus removing the scarred tissue. That would cause the healing process to start from scratch, and since he now has Momoshiki's healing factor under control, he could heal it to perfection. This is actually a process used in real life which doesn't remove the scar but does make it less visible. Of course, Boruto has a healing factor from Momoshilki, so his outcome would likely be a bit different. Now, Boruto hasn't done this as yet, which implies one of 4 things. 1. He doesn't know that this would work. 2. He doesn't care to fix the scar. 3. He doesn't have control over Momoshilki's healing factor. Or 4. He wants to keep the scar to remind him of the past or what he has lost. Number 4 is the most likely option, which is actually very common with fictional characters. So yeah, the scar thing isn't really complicated and it isn't a plot hole as some may say. With that being said, let me know your thoughts on the topic itself. Do you think that Boruto will heal the scar? Do you think that he could heal the scar? Do you think he cares to even do it? And do you think that Momoshilki purposefully didn't heal it so Boruto could feel more despair at the thought of, you know, being less attractive, I suppose? It's kind of funny, but, you know, he did lose, you know, skin cells, you know, and he did lose an eye. And if Momoshilki wants him to lose everything, then of course he wouldn't fix those things, right? So it does make sense. And do you agree with the analysis itself that Momoshilki does need to activate the healing factor for it to work? Boruto can't just trigger it himself. Let me know if you agree with that down in the comment section below. All in all, that's it for this video, so drop a like if you like it and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.